Welcome to a new original story by the 304 Wives Club. Enjoy. Spencer pushed open the side gate. The hinges squealed. Nobody heard over the music. He wiped drywall dust off his jeans and walked toward the backyard. 2 hours late. He'd been patching a subfloor on a commercial job in Frisco and lost track of time. Normal Tuesday. He heard Jody's voice before he saw her. High, loud, performing. He slowed down behind the outdoor bar and looked through the gap in the pergola. 10 people around the pool, everyone he'd known for the better part of a decade. Cold beers, lawn chairs, the smell of charcoal dying out. Jody was sitting on Wade's lap, Wade Carroll, a guy Spencer had known since their 30s. They'd fished together, watched games together. Spencer had helped him move into his house 7 years ago. Wade's hands rested on Jody's waist. Comfortable, settled, like they'd been there before. He actually thinks the gym is changing something, Jody said, laughing. She threw her head back into Wade's shoulder. Every single week he flexes in the bathroom mirror and goes, "You see a difference yet?" I've been lying to his face for 2 years. The group laughed. Wade grinned and pulled her a fraction closer. Spencer stood completely still. No anger. Not yet. Just a cold, hollow feeling dropping through his chest like a stone through still water. Thomas saw him first. The smile died on Thomas's face. The silence moved across the patio fast. Heads turned. The laughter stopped mid-breath. Jody felt the shift. She followed their eyes. Spencer walked around the bar. His work boots scuffed the concrete. He stopped 5 feet from the chair and looked directly at her. Who exactly isn't the workout helping? His voice was flat, quiet. Wade reacted like he'd grabbed a live wire. He shoved Jody sideways off his lap and jumped to his feet. His beer bottle hit the deck and shattered. "Spence, man," Wade stammered. "We were just messing around." Jody stood frozen next to the broken glass. The color had left her face entirely. Spencer didn't look at Wade. He held Jody's eyes for 2 full seconds. Then he turned and walked back down the path. He didn't slam the gate on the way out. He just pressed the latch shut. A quiet little click. That was somehow worse. She walked in 2 hours later. Spencer sat in the dark in his armchair. He hadn't turned on a single light. Jody rushed across the room. She dropped to her knees and grabbed his hands. The tears came immediately. "Spencer, please." Her voice broke perfectly. "It was a stupid drunk joke. You know how I get with margaritas. It meant absolutely nothing. Wade was the only open seat. I lost my balance." Spencer looked down at her. 15 years. He thought about all of it in about 4 seconds. The fitness blog she quit after 3 months. The interior design phase. The event planning phase. The life coaching certification she bought and never used. He'd paid for all of it. Every single time. No complaint. He'd truly loved her. He was sure of that. "Okay," he said. She blinked. "Okay?" "Yeah, I'm exhausted." He pulled his hands free and stood up. "I'm going to bed." He lay in the dark for hours, staring at the ceiling fan turning slow. Something had cracked open inside him. For 15 years he had chosen to see exactly what he wanted to see. Tonight, for the first time, he was going to actually look. It took him 4 days. He didn't hire anyone. He just paid attention for the first time. The way she angled her phone screen away. The way she took the trash out at odd hours. A Thursday morning yoga retreat that she packed for in a hurry. Spencer walked into the closet after she left. He went to the back shelf. A designer leather tote bag she never used. He unzipped it. Ran his hands along the inside lining. Near the bottom corner, he felt a hard lump. He pulled his pocket knife and sliced a short line through the fabric. A prepaid smartphone slid into his palm. No passcode. Spencer sat on the edge of the bed and opened the messages. One contact. W. He scrolled up. The thread went back 18 months. He read for 3 straight hours. Hotel rooms. Excuses they made for their spouses. Weekend plans. 18 months of it. He clicked on the contact profile. The photo expanded. Wade, smiling on a boat. The same man who had been sitting by the pool with his hands on her waist while she told everyone what a joke her husband was. Spencer sat there for a long time. He went back and read how Jody talked about him in the messages. Spencer is working late again. Honestly, at this point, he's just a walking ATM. I'll tell him the kitchen remodel ran over budget. That'll cover the Austin trip. She talked about him like a home appliance, something large and functional that needed to be maintained properly. Wade was her thrill. Spencer was her floor. She hadn't been choosing between them. She had chosen to keep both. Spencer closed the phone. He picked up his own. Law offices of Miller and Hayes. It's Spencer Hayes. Tell David I need to file for divorce. That night, he went to the garage. The fluorescent lights buzzed. Harsh shadows on the concrete floor. On the workbench, 3 velvet boxes from the wall safe in the basement. He opened the first one. The ruby ring. He'd bought it for their 15th anniversary. Heavy gold setting. Deep red stone. He opened the second. Diamond earrings. She picked them out herself in New York. Took 45 minutes to decide. Third box. A custom gold bracelet he'd brought back from Florence. She'd worn it to every dinner for a year. $30,000 give or take, every dollar of it paid for with early mornings and busted knuckles. Spencer closed the boxes, one by one. The snaps echoed in the quiet garage. He gripped all 3 boxes in one hand and looked toward the dark house. No, he said to nobody. You don't get to just walk away with this. The process server caught Jody on a Tuesday morning on the front porch. Spencer watched from his truck parked down the block. She didn't cry. She scanned the first page, stiffened, shoved the papers back at the server, and went inside. She wasn't devastated. She was angry. By Friday, her version of events was already moving through the neighborhood. Spencer was on a framing job in Frisco when Jeff called. They'd been friends since their 20s. Hey, Spence. Jeff's voice was tight. Look, I really don't like getting into other people's business. Just say it. Jody's been talking to Linda. Linda talked to the neighborhood wives. A pause. Stories are going around about how you treated her, that you kept her on a strict allowance, wouldn't let her take that event planning job. Used to corner her and tear her down when nobody was around. Spencer said nothing. 15 years of paying off her credit cards without a word. 15 years of smiling while she quit another expensive project. Not once had he touched a single thing she'd earned, because she never earned anything. I'm just telling you what's out there, Jeff said. Thanks for the call. Spencer pressed end. 2 days later, a text from Steve. Beer at my place. 7 p.m. Just the guys. Spencer drove over. He walked around back. Steve wasn't alone. Kevin and Tom were there. 3 guys he'd known for 20 years. Nobody stood up. Nobody grabbed him a beer from the cooler. They talked about the Rangers for 3 minutes. The air sat heavy. Tom leaned forward, staring at his boots. Look, Spence, if you really treated her the way she says you did, I mean, it's not a shock she looked for a way out. Spencer looked at Tom, then Kevin, then Steve. What exactly did she tell you? Kevin rubbed the back of his neck. Come on, man. We're not here to judge. We just think it's not right to completely freeze her out. She's going through a lot. They had already decided. She'd gotten to them first, planted her version of reality, while Spencer was busy collecting evidence and talking to lawyers. He stood up, didn't raise his voice. Believe whatever you want. He walked out through the side gate, sat in the cab of his truck for 5 minutes in the dark, gripped the wheel, stared at the empty suburban street. Then he dialed. David, it's Spencer. I need to add something to the strategy. For the next 3 weeks, Spencer worked nights inside the house. Jody slept upstairs. He slept on a cot in the guest room. But from 10 until 2 in the morning, he moved quietly through the house with his tool bag. He stripped the fireplace surround and replaced it with new cedar planks. He pulled up the pantry linoleum and laid ceramic tile by hand. He tore out the hallway baseboards and installed new trim. One night, Jody watched him from the top of the stairs, glass of red wine, voice slightly slurred. "You just can't stop, can you? Even now, you'd rather hit things with a hammer." Spencer kept tapping tile with his rubber mallet. Didn't look up. She went back to bed. She thought he was restless, working out his anger through manual labor. She was right about the first part. The mediation lasted 4 hours. Spencer sat on one side of the table, Jody on the other in a sharp navy blazer. Composed, soft, victimized. Her lawyer pushed hard for the primary residence. David looked at Spencer. Spencer gave one short nod. "My client agrees to forfeit his equity. She can have the property." Jody's eyes went wide. A slow smile crossed her face before she could stop it. She pulled out her phone and took a photo of the house keys on the table. She didn't ask about the jewelry. She assumed it was sitting in a bank vault waiting for the final division. She had no idea. Moving day, Spencer loaded his tools into his truck, walked inside one last time. Jody was at the kitchen island on her phone. He set a cardboard box on the counter next to her elbow. She pulled the flaps open. Inside, a cheap plastic metal detector, entry-level model. She laughed, short and confused. "What is this?" "There is roughly $30,000 worth of jewelry hidden inside the walls and floors of this house." Silence. "Where?" "If you find it, you can keep it." He turned and walked toward the door. "Spencer." He stopped. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely." He stepped outside and pulled the door shut. Jody stood alone in the kitchen. She reached in and gripped the plastic handle. She looked at the new cedar panels on the fireplace, the fresh tile in the pantry, the new trim running the length of the hallway. She pressed the power button. The unit beeped to life. At first, it was a game. She walked the first floor slowly, sweeping the coil across the baseboards, laughing a little at herself. The detector beeped at a pipe fitting, at an old nail head, at a bracket behind the drywall. She had a glass of wine. She told herself it was ridiculous. She came back the next day. $30,000 was $30,000. She called Wade that night. "He humiliated me with that stupid detector," she said. "Everyone's going to hear about it." Wade was quiet for a moment. Then, hit him where it actually hurts. "What do you mean?" "His business. One bad review in the right place is worth more than any lawyer." Jody didn't respond right away. She just stared out the window at the dark backyard. Then she opened her laptop. She built 3 separate accounts on contractor review platforms. She wrote detailed, specific reviews: materials fraud, safety violations, hostile work environment. One account from a fake former client, one from a fake ex-employee, one from a fake neighbor. She knew enough from 15 years of listening to Spencer come home and talk about his projects that she could make it sound real. She used the VPN app Wade had told her to download. 2 weeks later, Marcus called Spencer and pulled the Arlington contract. 6 figures. Gone. That same week, a residential remodel canceled. Spencer's primary subcontractor demanded early payment on a 30-day invoice, citing cash flow rumors. The bank denied a credit extension. Spencer sat in his rented apartment on a Tuesday night. Cheap folding table, stack of red ink invoices, silence. For the first time in his life, he was genuinely losing. That same night, Jody sat in the kitchen, glass of wine, phone buzzing with a notification. The Arlington contract had been officially awarded to someone else. It was public record. She texted Wade. "See? I told you he wasn't as smart as he thought." Wade replied an hour later. "Good." One word. She didn't notice the delay. She poured another glass and smiled at the ceiling. This was the peak of it for her. She didn't know that yet. Meanwhile, the house was coming apart. She'd opened the pantry wall with a crowbar first, found a pipe, and some old wiring. Patched it badly with joint compound that cracked within a week. She went after the fireplace next. Pulled off the cedar panels Spencer had just installed. Chipped into the brickwork with a hammer and cold chisel. Nothing. She hired a guy off Craigslist. Young kid. She paid him $200 cash up front to help open walls in the hallway. He worked 3 days, found nothing, and disappeared with the rest of the advance. She pulled up sections of hardwood flooring herself, rented a reciprocating saw from Home Depot, and cut through drywall in the upstairs bedroom. The house started to look like a demolition site. Then Wade went quiet. One-word texts. Then nothing for days. When she drove to his office, he met her in the parking lot with his jaw tight. "You need to stop showing up here." "I need to know when you're leaving her, Wade." "I never said I was leaving her." She went home and called him that night. She was drinking. Her voice cracked through the speakerphone. "I did everything you asked. I wrote the reviews. I used the VPN. He lost the Arlington job because of me. I did that for you." "You need to calm down," Wade said. His voice was flat, distant. "Stop calling this late. I have no money left. I hired someone to help me with the walls and he robbed me. The house is destroyed, Wade. I need you to come over." "I can't do that." A long silence. "When are you leaving her?" Jody said. Her voice was barely above a whisper, desperate. "You promised we were going to be together." "I never promised you that," Wade said. "Don't call this number again." The line went dead. She dropped the phone on the hardwood floor and pulled her knees to her chest. She sat there in the dark for a long time. The metal detector leaned against the ruined fireplace, covered in white plaster dust. Spencer needed cash. He'd left a commercial laser level in the basement of the old house, worth $1,200. He could pawn it in the morning. He parked 2 blocks away, walked the sidewalk in the dark. Texas night, thick and humid. He stopped at the property line. A roll-off dumpster sat in the driveway, overflowing. He walked over and looked at what was inside. Shards of ceramic tile, chunks of fresh drywall, cedar planking, the fireplace surround he had built, the pantry floor he had laid. He looked toward the house, dark in front, but warm light spilled from the side window, which was open to let in the night air. Spencer crossed the lawn quietly. He stopped beside the window and looked in. The living room was gutted, drywall hacked away to the studs, insulation hanging loose, the fireplace brickwork chipped to rubble. Jody sat on the floor in the middle of it. Sweatpants, hair greasy and loose, empty wine bottle beside her bare feet, phone on speaker. Spencer stood in the dark and listened. He heard Wade's voice come through the speaker, flat and cold. He heard Jody beg. He heard the line go dead. He watched her drop the phone and fold in half. He stood there for a long moment. He didn't feel pity. He didn't feel satisfaction. He just turned and walked back to his truck. He already knew what his next move was. The call came on a Thursday morning. Spencer was parked outside a lumber yard in Fort Worth, running Friday's payroll on a yellow legal pad. The AC was blasting. Caller ID, Marcus Vance, the developer from the Arlington Townhome project. The contract Spencer had just lost. He picked up. "Spence," Marcus's voice sounded different. "Don't say anything yet, just listen." "I'm listening." "Those reviews didn't sit right with me. The timing was too perfect. I had my IT firm run a trace." A pause. "All 3 accounts were registered from the same IP address. The same IP logged into a grocery delivery service an hour before the first review posted. The account on the delivery service was registered to a Jody Hayes. At your old residential address." Spencer gripped the steering wheel. The leather creaked. "I'm emailing you the logs right now," Marcus said. "The Arlington job is yours again. Get your crew ready for Tuesday." Spencer opened his laptop before the call ended. He downloaded the attachment and forwarded it directly to David. David moved fast. Court orders went to the review platforms to remove the fraudulent posts. Certified letters went to the Contractors Association to clear the record. Then, David sent a 60-page binder to Wade's employer. The IP logs, the defamatory reviews, A draft civil suit naming Wade personally for tortious interference. Carbon copied to their executive board and HR. Wade was placed on unpaid administrative leave by Tuesday morning. He called Spencer's cell 12 times in 3 hours. Left 3 voicemails. Spencer let everyone go, and then deleted them without listening. The fake reviews came down. Spencer's phone started ringing again. Subcontractors apologized. Clients called to finalize open bids. Jeff called too. Spencer let it ring 3 times. Spence, we heard about the fake reviews, about Wade getting suspended. We feel terrible. Let us take you out for a steak this weekend. Clear the air. No thanks. Come on. 20 years, man, you can't just cut us off over a misunderstanding. I didn't cut you off, Spencer said. You made a choice. Now you live with it. He hung up. He deleted Jeff's number, Steve's, Kevin's, Tom's. He set his phone down and went back to work. 6 months later, Spencer pulled his truck to the curb and looked at the house. From the outside, nothing had changed. Green grass, clean gutters, a quiet suburban street. He got out, walked up the concrete path, knocked once, firmly, on the front door. He waited a full minute. He didn't knock again. The deadbolt clicked. The door opened. Jody stood in the entryway. She looked thin, hair pulled back in a rough knot. The boutique clothes she used to buy every season were gone. Stained gray t-shirt, torn jeans. She looked at him without saying anything. Spencer didn't ask to come in. He stepped past her. He stopped in the foyer and looked around. The destruction was total. The dining room hardwood was ripped up, raw plywood subfloor exposed underneath. Splintered oak piled in the corners. The hallway drywall was punched through in 2-foot sections, all the way down the length of it, wooden studs bare. Electrical wires dangled from the ceiling where she'd torn out the light fixtures. The fireplace was completely dismantled. The cedar planks he'd installed were in pieces on the floor. The brickwork behind them had been chipped to powder. It didn't look like a house. It looked like something that had been systematically destroyed from the inside. Spencer walked into the kitchen. He set a medium cardboard box on the granite island. Jody followed slowly. She stopped on the other side of the counter and looked at the box. Spencer flipped the flaps open. He reached inside and set the first velvet box on the granite. Snapped it open. The ruby ring, second box. Diamond earrings, third. The gold bracelet from Florence. He laid them in a row. They caught the afternoon light and shined against the dull, dusty stone. Jody stared at them. Her hands started to shake. She looked up at him. Her eyes were red, hollow. "They were with you," she said. Her voice came out raw. "Yes." "The whole time?" "Yes." The refrigerator hummed. Nothing else moved. "Then why?" she asked. "Why did you do this?" Spencer looked at the ruined kitchen, the shattered baseboards, the hacked open walls. "Because in 15 years, I never once saw you work for anything." He let that sit. "I wanted to see how far you'd go for money." Jody stared at him. Her face twisted. She took a step back. "I hate you." Spencer picked up the empty cardboard box. He turned and walked toward the front door. He stopped in the hallway, surrounded by the exposed studs, the white plaster dust on the floor, the electrical wire hanging overhead. He turned around slowly. "No," he said. He looked at her from across the wreckage. "If it was hate, you would have stopped looking months ago." She didn't move. "You tore this entire place apart because you still thought there was something valuable left in it." He looked at the dusty metal detector leaning against the rubble of the fireplace. "Good job," Spencer said. "For the last 6 months, you finally did something with your own hands." He walked out. The heavy door clicked shut behind him. Jody stood in the silence. The 3 velvet boxes sat open on the granite counter. The walls around her were stripped bare. She had looked everywhere. In the walls, in the floors, in another man. She hadn't found a thing.